host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Then I saw this article here. The 3 ways that the Giants can just win the draft. Right? And it's, we will have to wait and see. But this article here, I want to read this here real fast as we close the show for this evening. 3 ways for the Giants to win the 2025 NFL Draft. This is what? Big Blue View. Now, Anthony Del Genio. Focus on whom they can get rather than whom they probably can't. All right. We're to the home stretch before the NFL Draft actually occurs, and thank goodness, because the endless speculation is enough to drive any fan crazy. Like last year, the players in New York seem to be just tantalizing out of their reach. Yep. In 2024, it was Jaden Daniels and Drake May, right, and Caleb Williams, right. This year, it seems like Cam Ward and Travis Hunter who are unattainable, though we won't know for sure until Thursday evening. I love both players, and it will pain me to see them come off the boards at number 1 and 2 if that's what happens. I'll console myself, though, and with the knowledge that the guy that they did get at number 6 last year is really, really good. You could argue that he got the second best player in the draft. Oh, absolutely. Oh, Malik, yes. And only that low because the quarterback position is so coveted in today's NFL. It's possible the same may happen this year, too. Absolutely. The Giants, it might be possibly the second year in a row the Giants got the second best player in the draft. So this year's a little different because all the top quarterbacks in the draft are considered not to be as good as any of the 6 taken around 1 last season. I don't necessarily agree with that. Ward, to my non-expert eye, sits in the middle of last year's top 6. Still, you can't just assume that the board will play out the way you want it to. Instead, I'm going to do 3 mock drafts in which I try to solve the Giants' problems, roster problems anyway, in different ways. All 3 will follow these basic rules. That Cam Ward and Travis Hunter go 1 and 2. For the Giants, though, I try to match value with needs in my choices, assuming that the Giants have 5 needs. The biggest needs are quarterback, interior defensive line, an edge rusher, edge defender, secondary needs at cornerback, and then, of course, at guard. I try to deal with the 3 biggest needs. It picks 3, 34, and 65. If I can get without reaching, then I try to address the other 2 needs. It picks 99 and 105. So, they got 5, guard or a tackle, right? Possibly a tackle. Interior defensive line, right? Quarterback, somebody in the secondary, right? And, you can say an edge defender if they don't plan on keeping Kayvon, right? If they don't want to keep him, right? It would behoove them to take Carter. But the first 3 Giants picks rotate among the 3 positions in my 3 drafts just to show what the possibilities are. No trades are allowed. I just do 4 rounds. I'm not going against trades at all. I'm just trying for this exercise to see how the depth of the draft pool at the positions I'm interested in allows me to fill needs without reaching in different ways. Since we have no idea what Joe Shane's big board looks like, much less than those of the other 31 teams. Let's see here. Whoops. You may feel that the 5 positions I mentioned are not the Giants' biggest needs. I don't think anyone would argue that a quarterback of the future and another interior defensive lineman aren't huge needs. Yes, they are. To me, edge defender is a need because Kayvon's future as a Giant is uncertain, and you can't have too many pass rushers. And anyway, it's a very deep edge class. So, they could. If they plan on getting rid of Kayvon, they could double dip at edge. But boundary cornerback may not be a need if Tay Banks becomes the player he was drafted to be, or Trey Hawkins III becomes the player he was briefly saw in the Saints game before he got hurt. Barring one of those, though, cornerback 2 is still a big question mark. I assume Drew Phillips at slot corner is a done deal. Absolutely. I don't consider guard an issue for this season. But we got to remember, guard and tackle, if we're not picking up Evan Neal, I mean, I can't see why we would possibly want to have Evan Neal at tackle. And Jermaine Illuminor, this is his last season. Now, it doesn't mean we can't re-sign him the next season, right? We can always entertain that, but we don't have we got Andrew Thomas. Can the guy, I mean, I take Andrew 10 ways to Tuesday. He can always be on my team. But the guy's getting hurt a lot, right? So we could use a tackle, right? Let's see. I don't consider guard an issue for this season with John Runyon Jr. and Greg Van Roten and maybe Evan Neal holding the fort, but I want a rookie on the roster to be able to fill one of those spots next year. So it'll be very important, I think, for the Giants to take somebody on the interior, the defensive line, and an offensive lineman early in the draft. Early, first three rounds. Right? If you're going to take Carter, you can get maybe yourself a quarterback. Right? Maybe with your second pick, see where it goes. But maybe in the first 105 picks, they got 5 picks. Right? Get yourself offensive lineman, the interior defensive lineman, maybe your quarterback, and get Carter, the edge rusher. Right? So here are my mock drafts. In my discussions, I indicate with a number in parentheses the round in which each player falls relative to the big board that Chris and Nick released yesterday. All right, so I'm going to, let's see here. I can share my screen here. All right, we are there. Present. Share screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, let me share it here. Show you his mock draft here. Now, this is first mock draft. This is first of 3 ways the Giants can win the draft. The don't pass on an elite player draft. Hard to argue with that. Abdul Carter. He's the biggest, he's the most elite player in the draft. And he's still on the board at number 3. You take him. Then according to air, Jalen Milroe is there at 34. He took Jalen Milroe. Then he took Kenneth Grant, a defensive tackle from Michigan. Right, so you got an edge rusher, you got a defensive tackle to put next to Sexy, right? You got the quarterback in the future. And he took Cobee Bryant, cornerback from Kansas, and then he took Miles Frazier, an offensive guard from LSU. That's a fine draft right there. Really good draft right there. I think that's a real good one. That's a real good one. To me, this is the most likely scenario for the Giants. I can't see them passing on elite talent like Carter. He can be part of the edge rotation, also part of the off-ball linebacker rotation. Yeah, he's played off-ball linebacker. He'd be edge rusher. I mean, the guy's a freak. Which addresses the objections some people have it using number 3 on what they see as a part-time player. Jalen Milroe in the second round gives them a developmental quarterback with a ton of potential who can sit for a year and develop his short game. That's what he has to work on. Absolutely. Kenneth Grant is a first-round talent who somehow drops to number 65 in this mock. He'd be just the guy to clog the Giants' leaky middle next to Sexy. Cobee Bryant is an aggressive boundary corner whom I may be overdrafting a bit at number 99. And Miles Frazier is a big and physical guard in the run game, less in depth and pass protection. But, okay, so now how the Giants can win the draft in the second mock draft. It's called It's the Quarterback Stupid Draft. It's the quarterback stupid. So they have to take the quarterback, right? So, and number 3 has taken Shedeur Sanders. Number 34, they got Tyleik Williams, a defensive tackle from Ohio State. Number 65, they got Oladejo, the edge rusher from UCLA. Quincy Riley, a cornerback from Louisville. And Jackson Slater, an offensive guard from Sacramento State. Like many people, I am skeptical that Shedeur Sanders can become a top 10 NFL quarterback, and I think it would be a mistake to draft him as high as number 3. I don't think it would be Daniel Jones all over again, though. Sanders is a very accurate passer who can make all the throws. He just does not have the zip on his deep ball that you'd like him, and sometimes holds the ball too long and causes unnecessary pressure. It's too bad he had such an awful offensive line in front of him. I'd like to know whether he'd have dumped the ball off so much with better protection. Still, take him number 3 in this draft because it's a real possibility the Giants decide to do that, and allows me to explore the implications for filling the other needs in the later rounds. Tyreek Williams doesn't excite me as much as Kenneth Grant, but like Grant, he'll clog the middle while he develops his pass rush. Oladejo is the developmental edge rusher, but with great potential. To be honest, I'm tempted to go with Josiah Stewart here, but PFN has him much further down their big board, seemingly because he's undersized. Quincy Riley is a good coverage corner in both man and zone with good ball skills, but perhaps without the speed to cover deep. And Jackson Slater is a good pass-blocking guard who is less refined in the run game. Then his third mock draft here. How the Giants can win in the draft. His third one is the Build the Trenches draft. It all starts in the trenches, right? And of course, it helps if you do have yourself a quarterback, but it all starts in the trenches. If you can win the trenches, boy, you give yourself a big chance, right? Now, this one here, all right, this is, I don't know, I'm passing on Carter to take Graham, but Graham is put Graham next. If you got Kayvon, you got Burns, you got Graham, and you got Sexy Dexy, that's a fab 4 right there, baby. Whew. So he took Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, at 3. Second round, he took Landon Jackson, the edge rusher from Arkansas. Tyler Shaw, whatever, the quarterback from Louisville, with the first pick in the 3rd round, if he makes it that far. Corey Black, a cornerback from Oklahoma State, and Garrett Dellinger, an offensive guard from LSU. This is probably the least likely scenario to unfold, but if the Giants wanted to follow the Eagles' playbook, they could decide to use their first 2 picks to fill out the defensive line and not take a skill player until round 3. Pick number 3 is pretty high for defensive tackle, but Mason Graham is the consensus defensive tackle number 1 in this draft, and adding edge Landon Jackson at number 34 will give the Giants possibly the best defensive line in the NFL outside of Philadelphia. Is it what I would do if I were Joe Shane? No, not at least, because they should be able to get a really good defensive tackle at either 34 or number 65, as I did in my other 2 drafts. And Graham is not obviously that much better than the players like Grant or Derek Harmon. Tyler Shaw is a real consideration at number 65, having come out of nowhere during the run up to the draft to enter the day 2 discussion. It's not even certain he'll be there at number 65. Corey Black is a physically gifted corner whose mental game has not yet caught up to his physical gifts. And Garrett Dellinger is a stretch at this point of the draft, but he does have good strength in the run game. And once the first half dozen or so inside offensive linemen are off the board in this inside offensive line weak draft class, yes, it is. Guards and centers, it's not a good class for them. Not at all. Good tackle class, but guards and centers, no. Overall, this draft leaves me with more questions than the other 2. This is clearly my least favorite of the 3 mocks I did. I don't know that there is a single player and it excites me as a slam dunk combination of talent or value where I took them. The first draft is my favorite. I'm very excited to walk away with Carter, Milroe, and Grant. Not as excited as I'd be if Ward or Hunter dropped to number 3. Whew, man. The bottom line, not surprisingly, most of the attention in this draft for the Giants fans is on the number 3 pick, and that the Giants have no control over who will be available. It's also a draft that is considered weak at quarterback, although some seemingly strong quarterback drafts haven't worked out the way they once began. Giants have made some awful draft picks in the past. You got that right. Never say never given this franchise's recent history, but the odds are that the Giants will come away with at least a couple of really good players at key positions in this draft. They may even become a good team in 2025. Well, I don't know. Well, let's hope. Let's hope. But yeah, who got trading down would be idiotic, but that's the Giants. Well, hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, I hope they don't. I hope they don't. They sit there at number 3 and take the best player available and hope, it's probably either Carter or Hunter. Whichever one of those two it is, I take them. And you're often, you're automatically often running on a good draft. Now, what they do the rest of the time, I'll have to wait and see. But the one thing is true, for me anyway, is that, if you take like a can't miss prospect, right? Yeah, it's hard to lose with that. Really hard to lose with that. I mean, if they want to get lucky and they get Hunter, themselves a wide receiver and a cornerback, wow. But I mean, if they do wind up taking Carter at number 3, right, that makes Kayvon expendable. And in the long run, that saved. They might probably get themselves a better edge defender / edge rusher, right, and Kayvon, right? So you'd have Carter and you have Burns. You have one of the best dynamic duos in football. Now, they might keep Kayvon this year. They may not. Who knows? But, I mean, if they do, they'd have 3 really good edge rushers, right? But it would also, make Kayvon expendable, and they'd save themselves some money in the long run because they don't have to pick up Kayvon's 5th-year option. They don't have to worry about signing him to a long-term contract. They save themselves a lot of money, right? So we're less than 24 hours away, guys. I'll be live tomorrow. See how the Giants do in the first in their draft. All excited. Finally, we can get all these mock drafts. You have to worry about them and listen to any stupid mock drafts. That's how I look at it anyway. I'm an old fart, so please forgive me. But we'll have to listen to no more mock drafts for quite a while. Thank God.